Hello, good evening, Sharai. How are you? Is everything okay?
Good evening, teacher. Yes, everything's fine. Thank you.
That's great. Great, Sharai. So please, you know that these last days my internet wasn't working very good. I think now it's going to be better, but if it's still failing, let me know when you are, well, hearing, right, my voice a little bit laggy or having some problems, all right? I don't know if you can hear me well now, Sharai. Let me know, please.
Yes, teacher. It's perfect.
Very good. That's great. I hope that I solved that problem. If it was the case, well, it's going to be great. So let's begin with this. First, I wanted to ask you, no, let's do this first. I think we didn't have the chance to check your last examples, right, Sharai? Do you remember?
Yes, teacher. Yesterday
Okay,
we couldn't.
good. So I think it was the last two examples. Whereas yes, with although and in spite of this, do you remember if it was the last two or the last four examples, Sheree?
No, only the last two, teacher.
Great. Let's read them, please, those two examples, Sheree.
Okay, the first one is although he likes to cook, he couldn't do it without supervision. The next one is the alarm rang very early in the morning. In spite of this, I didn't wake up because I was too tired.
Very good. Great. I think you're using these transition words and phrases very good. The sense, the logic of the ideas that you're giving me, the punctuation rules and everything works perfectly. Here you have the option instead of semicolon, you can also use period. By the way, just to give you extra options in case you're using a lot of these phrases, but so far it's very good. I don't know if you have any questions related to these last transitional words and phrases, Shai.
No, teacher, everything's clear.
Great, that's good. Very good, Sharai. Also, my second question before going to the reading, here, do you have any questions about and I'm going to stop sharing a little bit because I want to go to your work. Do you have any questions about the corrections, the comments that I perhaps made in your essay? Sharai, let me know if you do.
No, teacher, I just want to know about the corrections you said in your comment, right? And I don't
Mhm.
know if you mark that mistake in the document because I didn't see anything.
Yes, and that's what I want to show you. Look, as you can see here, this is what I did with all of the essays that you sent me. For example, at the very beginning, I marked, if you're looking at my screen, the word count. Then I marked specific parts in which I'm telling you either, all right, I'm telling you either that this is not that good, perhaps you can do this instead of that. For example, in the case of this part that is marked, I'm telling you that the extra information seems to be more important than the main information. So my advice here is to change and to, for example, mention this voluntary or compulsory thing as part of the extra information instead of part of the main information, and to set this in between commas and have the thing that is in between commas as part of the main information. That's one thing that I was advising. Then this part, right? I told you to use a comma, or it could be a dash, because it seems to be like a clarification, even not comma dash, it's only dash or a colon, internal or external at the end of this. But yes, actually, I'm not sure if you go to your document, try to do the Sharai, and if you open it, you should be able to see it like this, because the corrections and the comments that I made were supposed to be for everybody that, well, use this document. And actually, this document is yours, and I made these comments in your document. Try to give it a look. Today, perhaps after this conversation, Sharai, try to go there, try to open your document, because I have not a lot, because I think you got a very, very good score. I think it's one of the best scores because you use punctuation rules very, very good. No problems with spelling, just things related to extra information. Or here in this part, there is a big idea, a very big idea with, I think, 4 or 5 lines that it was not clear for me. And I was asking you please to restate that, because in the following let's say essay, if I have an idea like this that again in terms of spelling and punctuation seems to be okay, but I cannot find the logic and it's a little bit confusing, then it's going to be like marked not as perfect, right? Perhaps it's going to have one mistake. But try to check it, Sharai, again. You should be able to see all these comments and also these private comments that I worked over here, right? I told you
Yes,
that
I
overall is
only
great.
see the private comments, but I couldn't be able to see that what you showing me, the highlight words and sentence and the other comments that are in the document. So I'm going to check in only in the drive, I think, because in
Yeah,
by classroom I couldn't see that.
try to do it, please, because as you can see, this was added, right? July 13. So I did that night for all of your essays. So try to take it a look, all right? Today and right now, because of the conversation, it will be like, well, all right, we need that time. But try to do it, please, Sharai, and let me know by sending a message to the group, it can be, and tell me, teacher, I can see it or I cannot see it. In case you cannot see it, let me do that right away, actually. I'm going to share this link right now with you because I think that yes, it's over here, right? So let me do it right now. Let's not wait until you find it or not. I'm copying and pasting this. It's in the chat so that you can check all those details over there as well. Okay, and that's it. I don't know if you have any questions with this before going to perhaps these 5 minutes of reading. Let me know.
No, teacher, I didn't have questions.
Great. Very good. So that's it. Again, I'm going to work on the same way for the second essay. I'm going to work with a lot of comments. Some of your partners have a lot of comments. And you're going to see that here, actually, I'm working with just one correction, this clarification, and that's the thing that is going to be working. But try to take a look at also other advice or recommendation that I was mentioning. But that's it. Then with that, I think I'm done. Let's go. Remember, we were working with this article. It was the Italian village. I don't know what you remember about the chalet. Tell me, please.
Well, what I can remember is a village that is sending houses in $1, I think, and the these houses promise a, a, a great sea. I don't know, I don't remember, and it has a castle, a medieval castle, and some things like that.
Okay, good, good. So let's start and actually let's continue from that part, chalet. Yes, we have €1 houses on Castropeñano, right? This village is offering that, but actually this village is doing something different, right? What is the usual scheme, right? And we talked about this, right? A scheme. What is a scheme? A way in which something works. So the scheme for the previous towns, right? For example, we have the towns or the villages of Salemi, right? Or Santo Stefano di Cesanio. Those villages were working with auctions, right? The highest bidder was going to get that house. So it was a little bit different. But they say that the scheme, it's a little bit different here. So let's try to read from that part, please, Shai. Everything that is highlighted, please.
Okay, the scheme here works a bit differently, he says. I'm moving along two parallel paths, reaching out both to potential buyers and owners at the same time, but step by step to make demand meet supply. I don't want my town invaded by a property stampede or to turn into the latest housing speculation deal.
Thank you very much. Let's read one more time this word over here, please, Shai.
Stampede?
Okay, good. It can also be, actually, that's not that incorrect, but in standard English, American English, the stress is going to be like in this last part, like stampede, all right, like a stampede. Okay, so what do you get from these lines, or let's say short paragraphs, Sharai? What can you tell me about this information that you read?
Well, what I understand is that the owner of these houses of this village has to maintain the culture, I think, or uh, he doesn't want to he doesn't want a person who get there and change some things that he's not agree.
Okay, that could be one thing. What you're saying is interesting. We don't know actually yet, right, if that's the intention of this person, but something that you mentioned is true. He needs to know, right, the person in charge of this town needs to know what's going to happen with the houses. And that's why he says, right, this is not going to work with auctions, right? It's not going to be like, okay, $1, who says $2, $3, okay, $100, then it's yours, right? So anybody, right? He doesn't know that person. He doesn't know the intentions of that person. Perhaps that person is buying that house at $100, 100 euros, and he's going to resell, right, the house to someone else. And it's going to be like, I don't know, it says, right, the latest housing speculation deal. It means that everybody's going to start buying houses there at lower prices, higher prices, and this is going to become a market for selling houses, right? So actually, that's what he wants to avoid. Perhaps instead of the culture, he doesn't want this to become this kind of deal, right? Buying houses, selling houses, low prices, higher prices. That's what he wants to avoid. Instead, perhaps of keeping the culture, because in the next part we're going to see something interesting. I hope we have time. But here we have something that we need to understand. It says, right, moving along two parallel paths. So it means that the persons in charge here want to work with the buyers and the owners, right? Step by step. And they want to make demand meet supply. It means they really want to give, right, what buyers and owners want. They want the best deal for both of them, not just buying because they want to buy. And that's why they say, right, I don't want my town invaded by a property and stampede, right? A lot of people wanting to buy and sell their houses because it's a great deal. To understand that a little bit better, I would like you to read, please, this last part. Let's do it, please, Sharai.
Okay. In fact, instead of going through the authorities, Scapillati wants interested parties to email him direct. I welcome anyone who would like to purchase a new home here to email me directly. Nicola Scapigliati at me.com with a detailed plan of how they intend to restyle and what they would like to do with the property. Make it a home, B&B, store, or artisan shop.
Great. So, what else do you get with this idea then, Sharei? Of course, he wants to avoid this idea, right, of housing, sales, and all this thing that it's going to like include many people, right, doing things that were not supposed to be done in that town. With this extra information to finish the conversation, what can you tell me, Sharei?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think that this person, Scapigliati, wants to know how the new property will gonna uh, restyle the house or something like that.
Okay, correct. Yes, sorry, I thought my microphone was off. Yes, he wants to know what the new owner of this house, of this property, right? What that owner is going to do with this new house in terms of perhaps having that as just a house, or it's going to work like a B&B, kind of a hotel, right? Store, artisan shop, etc. So they really want to know the intention, right, of the buyers before selling the houses, because again, they don't want to actually sell these houses to anybody, because they want to be sure that there are good intentions with them, that they are going to restyle and rebuild the houses if necessary, so that if the house is not made for that kind of job, for example, Airbnb or hotel, they're going to do something different, right? What can you tell me? I would like you to tell me to finish this, a final comment. What do you think about this? It means that not anybody can buy those houses. You need to have a good reason. You need to have a plan for the house that you're going to buy. It needs to be justified. And then in that case, if your demand, right, meets the supply, you are going to be able to buy it. What do you think about that in very general comment, Sharai?
Well, I think, well, at the beginning, I think that it was just to buy a house and that's all. But reading all this information, I know that we have to to apply to buy this job to the job, sorry, this house. So we have to 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 tell to what we want to do with the house, and it's not only just pay and that's all.
Exactly, it's correct. And that's interesting because in that way, it makes sense and it's going to keep the idea of this town as a good town, right? Because they are going to know who are the people that are going to be there. Good. Let's finish then here, Sharai. Thanks for being in this conversation. Again, try to check the comments to improve perhaps those little details because they are very little for next time. And that's it. Have
Mhm.
a good night, Sharai.
Okay, teacher. Okay, teacher. Good night. Bye.
Bye bye. Good night. Hello, good evening, Lourdes. How are you?
Hi, teacher. Fine, thank you.
That's great. Very good, Lourdes. I think that I finally fixed my problem with the internet. I hope that it's working good now. In case that you are listening to my voice a little bit laggy or buggy, let me know. But how can you hear me now, Lourdes? Is everything okay now?
Yes, everything it's very clear.
Great. That's good to know. Great, Lourdes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to know if you were able to see the specific corrections that I made to your essay, Lourdes, because Shari, for example, told me that she found my private comment, but she was not able to see the specific comments that I made in detail in all the essay. I don't know if you were able to find that. Let me know, please.
No, teacher. I could see the comment, the grades, but I couldn't see the comments in the essay.
Good. We're going to try to do something. Then first I'm going to share. I'm going to show you what you were supposed to see. All right. This is what you were supposed to see. In your, let's say, work, your essay, right? I marked many parts and I was writing comments. And I was saying, for example, one, right, spelling. And I gave you the reason why this was perhaps a mistake or something that can improve. In general, your essay was very, very good, all right, in terms of using punctuation and all those details. But you're going to see that there are some little details that were affecting that a little bit, but they are not something big, very, very big. Just details in terms of the words, right? Restating the word. For example, the conjugation of this word. You were talking about the changes, right? Then you gave me like some extra information, and then you only mentioned like has, right? Eh, because you are actually translating here or talking about these changes in other words. Then here, right, customers, it was supposed to be with you and it was with O in this case, right? So those little details were corrected. I think that you have access to this if you go to the assignment and you open your work in Google Docs like this, open it with Google Docs. In case it's not working with like that, Lourdes, I'm sharing right now the link so that you can check all those details. All right, so that you can check all those details and you can take them into account for the next essay. And I'm copying and pasting that right now in the chat. Okay, so again, the way you have to analyze what you have there is you have some corrections or advice related to spelling, right? Related to other things like tenses and so on, but this is not affecting the score. I say, for example, right, not a mistake, but it's better to clarify some habits, their habits, right, to add some words. Then about punctuation, of course, and so on and so forth, right? You have a lot of things over here that are going to help you improve those writing skills that again are very good, but with those details are going to be even better. For example, over here, right, again, it says isn't exists, right? But as we have a verb in the simple form, it should be with auxiliary do or does, right? It doesn't exist. So the details like that and things that are going to make you improve. I don't know if you have any questions about this, please, Lourdes. I'm going to ask you to check this when you have time and let me know if you have any questions perhaps tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Very good. And I think that's it. Were we able to check your sentences yesterday, Lourdes?
No,
I
I
think we were not.
didn't have time. Um,
Oh, yes.
so
Don't worry, don't worry. Try to work these last examples when you have time. You can add them here. Remember, to get that 100 is going to be important. You add them, you tell me when they are ready, and I'm going to check those. All right. You have to use the last group that we were talking about. It's although, in spite of this, despite, nevertheless, those group of words. Take a look at that part of the video. Write the last two examples that are missing over there, and we're going to check them, okay?
okay, teacher.
Great, very good. Then I think with that, we have just little time, but it's going to be enough to work with this. And okay, so we were talking about Castropeniano and how this village was selling houses right at a very, very cheap price, of course. What do you remember about this article, Lourdes?
That that houses were very cheap. They were selling by 1 euro, and the purpose of that was um trying to get newcomers to the city in order to repopulate maybe that small village.
Okay, very good, right? We can say repopulate, right? Repopulate. Okay, good, good. That's a good explanation. Give me please one thing. Can you read that one more time? How do you say that?
1 euro.
Okay, okay, euro. And the first I heard like with H, like hero, right?
Yes,
Hero, it will be something different, right? So euro,
yes.
right? Euro. Good, very good. Then yes, and something important before going to this last part, because it's going to be very short. They are not the first village in doing this, because already, right, we had Salemi and Santo Stefano di Sisanio that were working with these kind of very cheap houses, right? Giveaway, let's say, quotation marks giveaway. But it's not 100% the same, because actually Castropiniano, right, is not going to work with auctions. And remember, we were talking about auctions. The highest bidder was going to be, right, the one that was going to keep the house. But Castropiniano is not going to work that way. They have a different, remember this word, a different scheme, right? A different scheme. It means a different organization, a different way of working. And let's read about that. Let's read please these last paragraphs over here, Lourdes, to understand what they are going to do.
Okay. The scheme here works a bit differently. He says, I'm moving along two parallel paths, reaching out both to potential buyers and all owners at the same time, step by step, to make demand meet supply. I don't want my town invaded by a property stumble or to turn into the last housing speculation deal.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's work with only this word over here. How do we pronounce that word?
Stumble?
Huh?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's going to be very close to Spanish, right? Stampede and
Oh,
stampede.
okay.
All right, good. So what do you get from this information, Lourdes? What do you understand by this? Because remember, They are saying, okay, we're following your idea, cheap houses, €1 houses, but we're not going to work with auctions. We don't want to, right, have these things over here. We don't want to work with the highest bidder because that's not the way we want to do it. So what do you understand here? What is the scheme that they are going to use?
I think that they are he is looking for good buyers, people that maybe could be a difference in the village. So I'm not too sure, but I understand that maybe it's like a interview with the owners, with the potential buyers, and try to select the best ones.
Okay, good, good. That's great. Yes, and actually in the next part, we're going to see that next conversation. Yes, we're going to see that they actually need to follow steps. And here he's saying, right, I'm moving along two parallels. So he's going to work with two people, the potential buyer and the old owners. So they are not going to work with auctions, right? It's not going to be $1. What about you? $5, $100, $1,000. Okay, it's yours. No, they only want to reach the one potential buyer for that house, and they want to reach the old owner of that house, and they want to make demand meet supply. What does it mean? That they want to be sure that what the buyers are looking for, all right, is actually this house, all right, is actually in this house. What the owners can give to this new buyer is actually something that they can give it, all right? And why? Because they don't want, again, this to happen. What is to turn this into the latest housing speculation deal is to, for example, have any kind of people over here buying the house, let's say at €100, and they're going to sell it at €200. And it's going to be all right, it's going to be sold, and they are going to be let's say offering that house again, and many people are going to come here because this is going to become into a market. Everybody's going to be selling and buying the houses at low and highest prices. So that's what we have, or sorry, not we, right, what they want to avoid. I don't know if you have any questions, comments, or something that is not clear for you from these words, Lourdes, to finish this out. Let me know.
I don't know what it means, path.
One more time, what word?
Paths
Oh,
next to parallel.
there you go. Sorry. Yes, paths. Remember, a path is like a road, a way, right? So it says, I'm moving along two parallel roads, two parallel ways. So, right, two different things like this. I'm going to do this very quickly. All right, this is one path and this is the other path. So this person is working with these two different paths. One is the
Okay.
path of the owner and the other one is the path of the buyer, because the person, the mayor perhaps of this town, wants to understand what the buyer wants and what the owner can offer to the buyer so that they can have the perfect deal. And it's not that anybody's going to buy the house, only the perfect buyers and the perfect owners are going to be able to work on a final deal. That's the idea over there. I don't know if it was clear, Lourdes.
Yes, teacher, thank you. I think that that's the only word that I couldn't understand.
Great, great. Then, because of time, we're going to try to see. I'm going to ask you something, Lourdes, in case you want to know about this. Try to take a look. I'm going to try at least to check the final interview with you before going to the new topic. But you can try to read the rest of the article as well because it's really interesting. But at least we're going to read this next class before reading the next article. All right. That's it. Then thanks for being in the conversation. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, teacher, thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye bye. Hello. Good evening, Mariana. How are you?
Hi, teacher. Everything's fine. Thank you.
That's great, Mariana. So again, I'm telling you this again because you know that my internet was kind of bad these days, but I think I fixed it. I think it's working very good with Sharai and Lourdes. It worked very good so far. Let me know if you can hear me well, Mariana, please.
Yes, teacher, I can hear you very, very well.
Okay,
That it
that's
is
great.
well.
That's great to know. Yes, because yesterday I was kind of angry with my internet. All right, it was, I think, a mess, but I hope that it's going to work like this also tomorrow. I'm going to do everything is possible for me to do it. So good, Mariana. Let's begin then with that. Before doing it, actually, let me stop sharing my screen. Let's go to first. I want to know, I think we didn't check the last examples with you, Mariana, right? We didn't check the last two examples with you.
Yes, teacher. I want to ask you if we can check my essay. I don't know what's wrong. When I was doing, I think that it was okay, and
Yes.
I can understand very well what's wrong.
Yeah, actually, we're going to do that now. I did that with Sharai and with Lourdes because they were not able to find the specific comments. You're going to see that I wrote a specific comments explaining everything in detail, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to send you the link. All right. I don't know why Google Classroom is not showing that, but I'm going to share that with you now. First, let's check this very quickly, and then let's go to your essay. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Let's read your two examples, please.
Okay, the first is, although she was far away, she could see that she was watching her.
Good. Very good.
And the
The next
second
one, please.
is, in spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon.
Okay, just one thing over here, right? If you say complete, it's like not ed, right? So to add the ed, it's going to be like completed, right? Completed the marathon. Good, good. But I think they are working very good. Although she was very far, she could see good. Very good. I think the examples are great. The right punctuation and the ideas work very well with concession, right? Which is the purpose of these two words, which are although and in spite of. Very good. I don't know if you have any questions related to this, Mariana.
No, teacher, thank you.
Great. Now I'm going to stop sharing again. I have to go there to open your only yours, and I'm going to show what you should be able to see. And in case it's not working now, I'm going to share the link with you. Okay, so there you go. And okay, so this is what you should be able to see, Mariana. If you see these comments over here, 10 p.m., right, July 13. So I added this in all of your essays so that you understand detail, all right, every detail of what I corrected and why I did it. Not all of them are considered
Yes,
mistakes.
I can see these comments. I think when I see the grades, I can see these comments. That
Oh, all right.
comments, I
So
think.
you see all of them, right? Okay.
Yes.
So
Now, yes.
okay, that's good. Then here, what affected a lot, right? Remember that in when we talk about spelling, is every single letter that is going to be written in English, and it implies, for example, if we have an A instead of an O, or if we have capital letter, or we have lowercase letter. For example, this CL, if you see right, it's referred to capital letter CL. So those spelling mistakes, remember that are adding up. So I think that in total we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I think in total over here. Yes, 10, 11, no, 10. 10 spelling mistakes. And many of them were related to capital letter, all right, CL. The first one I gave you that clue, right? CL, capital letter CL. So that was affecting a lot, all right, in these words, like the ones we have over here. And we can take a look at those examples, right? This is the first capital letter mistake, that here, Bolivia. Then it was related to Cochabamba. This other one, I, right? This one was without capital letter, all right? I, and this one over here, let me check. Where is it? The other capital letter. But the thing is that the ones that have the CL, all right, are related to capital letter mistakes, all right, capital letter mistakes. Then the other mistakes that we have, not all of them again are mistakes, it says, right? No, not clear, restate, are punctuation marks. Remember that we cannot use commas all the time, and we let's say graded punctuation a lot. This was not considered a mistake, but I told you, right, that in this case we don't need a colon, because when we say about how I made, actually no punctuation is needed over there, but it was not considered a mistake. But in this case, yes, because this is a complete idea. If you take a look at this, all right, it says everything, subject, started, verb, with my career, complement, one complete idea. It means that every time you see a complete idea, you have, in total, you have 3 or 4 options. The first option, if you want to use a comma, then you must use a fanboy, and for, nors, or etc. All right, if you want to use a comma. If you don't want to use a comma because
Like,
there's no connection like that, tell me, Marina.
for example, if I say everything started with my career, I can put comma and after and I decided to study aviation, for example.
Exactly. That's one thing to do it. But if you believe that and is not the best idea to connect these two ideas, because this is not adding, okay, it not always works like that. If you don't want to use a fanboy, because it will be also weird if we use fanboys all the time. Why? Because not all of the ideas are related with and addition. Perhaps this idea is not adding information to this idea, so it's not going to be okay also to use but and so on. So if you see that and or but or so or for, they are going to sound weird, then don't use a comma and use a semicolon or period. If you see here, no comma, right? To complete ideas need a semicolon or a period. Use one of those two instead of, right? Instead, one of those two instead. And I gave you, right? Everything is the subject, the start is the verb, and so on. So it's a complete idea. So here you have two complete ideas, and you cannot use a comma to connect to complete ideas. Only if you use a fanboy, or if you don't want to use a fanboy, you have to use semicolon or period. So you have all those options to work over here. That's why this was a mistake. Here, for example, is not a mistake. Why? Because yes, this is a complete idea. I decided. And here you have a comma with a fanboy. So very good. Here, the only mistake, capital letter. Here, again, the only mistake, capital letter. This one, again, was like that. But, again, here, no mistake with punctuation
But
because...
there in the part, sorry, in the part of and obviously, I think that I put with capital letter or not.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's marked like this because I'm sure that it was like that without capital letter. In case
Because
it
I
was really...
see many times to to send the essay
All right.
because
I'm
I
going to see.
always fail with the capital letter in I, and I see many times to, how can I say revisar?
Review. You can say review or revise. Also, you can say revise. I revised or
I
I reviewed.
revise many times.
Okay, perhaps it was to... well, I was checking this at night. I was reading all of those works. Perhaps it was my mistake. That's why, yes, I'm seeing this, and it's with capital letter. It's very weird. If it's not going to be a mistake, I'm going to delete this. All right, I'm going to delete this. Perhaps I didn't see very well, but then the only ones with capital letter mistake would be these ones. All right, it will be these ones. But if there's no other thing like that, perhaps it was my mistake, and I'm going to delete this one. And what I'm going to do right now, let's go until the end, and we're going to see which ones perhaps are not correct over there. But this one,
Okay.
right, is with capital letter.
Yes.
This one also. Then here, first, I understand here. This, again, we're not, if you see, this is not a mistake. So this is not taking a points away from you, Mariana. It says, right, only like that. The only ones that are taking points away are going to be these that say spelling, punctuation. Those are the ones that are affecting your essay. But in the future, this is going to affect your essay. For example, in this second essay, this is going to affect. Why? Because you're using past, all right, past, and then to tell what happened in past, you're using present, right? And that will be incorrect in in terms of a context, right? For example, then you have a different thing over here, Cochabamba. Cochabamba is going to be one thing, right? Singular. So it's not going to be don't, it's going to be doesn't. And yes, that's a spelling thing. Here is referred to punctuation. Yes, if you see here, something that is also incorrect in English is when you have one comma over here, another complete idea, and you have a different comma, right? And you have another comma, right? And you have a different comma. So that's something that we don't have to do in English. Remember the rule? When you have a connector that is a fanboy, and you have many commas before and you have many commas after, we don't have to do that. Can you hear me well? Mariana, I
No,
think again I
teacher,
had some problem.
just that part. I can hear you.
Okay, well, one more time. If you have a connector, a fanboy, and you have commas, many commas before, and you have many commas after, the rule says that the fanboy is not going to be used with comma, but is going to be used with semicolon to avoid confusion. All right. Remember that is the fourth usage of the semicolon, or I think it's the second or the fourth. Use semicolon with fanboys when the fanboy is using many commas before and many commas after, because it's going to be confusing. So that is the correction over there. Then over here, this is not a correction. The ones that don't have punctuation or spelling are only recommendation. All right, recommendations. It says that you should use this as introductory phrase, and introductory phrase are going to use commas. So this would be here, semicolon, and then that moment, comma, then the complete idea. And then here again, right? This is something that happens. So it's not a routine actually, right? So this is not reducing again points from your essay, but I'm telling you, right? So is it present or past? Was your vision expanded or is your vision expanded at that moment, right? And then you use past again. So the correct one for this one would be past, right? And I said, right, to expand the vision perhaps is not that correct, but you can say, because get, when you say get, is passive voice. So I think we don't need passive voice here. It would only be something like this. I think, yes. Did you expand your vision? So you can say, I expanded my vision and I started, right, to look in other parts of Bolivia. So the idea here is correct. You're using comma, very good, because you have a second idea with a complete idea. So that's not incorrect. But here it will be the tense and the expression. We wouldn't need get over here, and the only main verb should be in past. Then here we have that capital
Okay.
letter, this one over there as well. Here again, right? If you realize, I saw many colleges for this, right? Also, this is kind of not complete. You can say for this purpose, but it's not a mistake, all right? It's not a mistake. Then you have, and the most interesting one is, so, or that is called pam pam. But here, if you realize, I, subject, saw, verb, all of these complements. You have and then you have the most, this you have to be careful, right? We don't use interessant. That's going to be more like French, intéressant. In English, we are going to say only interesting. And comma. And the most interesting subject is verb, one that is called Phoenix, right? Or an aeronautica. And that's the complement. So two complete ideas. We cannot use only and to join two complete ideas. We have to use a comma and a fanboy. Or if you don't want to use a fanboy, only use semicolon. Or you can use a period. All right, that's why this is also a mistake. This was a spelling mistake, right? Because we don't say this, we're going to say interesting. This was because it's a proper name, right? With capital letter. Then this was related to spelling, but it's not as a mistake. As you can see, it doesn't say like spelling. It's just recommendation. We're not going to say the form of study. We're going to say perhaps the way of study, the characteristics of the place or something like that. Then in this part, again, recommendation, right? and I fell in love. So if you want to avoid using even more and more commas, it's better if first you give me the idea, I fell in love, and then at the end you say, at that moment, all right, or that moment. Because if you use that moment at the beginning, it's introductory phrase, and you use comma. And that moment, comma, I fell in love. All right. Anytime that you have something before your subject, Mariana, you have to use a comma because that's not your subject. So if you say, for example, on Friday, I have to go to the party. Do we know that we need a comma there? Yes, because on Friday is not the subject. On Friday is telling me the time, right? What is the subject? I. So you say on Friday, comma, I went to the party. So if you don't want to use many, many commas to have this problem, what I advise is instead of saying on Friday, I went to the party, you can say I went to the party on Friday. And in that way, you don't need extra commas. All right. Then over here, also this, right? I get preparated. So is this present or past? Because again, you are using past, then present, then you're coming here again to past, right? So I would say that this should be past, right? I got preparated, I got ready, or as it says, right, suggestion, I prepared. To here, if you have a preposition like this, the rule says that you have to use gerund. So it will be forgiving. But actually, you don't prepare for doing something. It would be better if you say, I prepared to do something. So you can say, I got prepared to give, right, the idea to my parents. Also, instead of give, you can analyze other possible verbs or ideas like this. To give the news, right? I gave you some suggestions. I got prepared to give the news to my parents. That's going to sound a little bit more natural. Here, also this one, right? No comma. Why? Because you're giving a complete idea. I got prepared to give the news to my parents. And then you have another complete idea. It wasn't easy. And that's one complete idea. Subject, verb, and complement. So we don't use a comma to join two complete ideas. As you can see, the correction here, Google, dot, or semicolon, or a fanboy. But if you have commas before, then the fanboy is going to be used with semicolon and not with commas. And things like that. We're about to finish, but those are the details, Mariana. I don't know if you have any questions related to this. If you can see, not all of them were like things that affected your score, but the ones that
Okay.
affected your score are with numbers, right? With numbers. Any questions or
Okay.
comments? Let me know, please.
Yes, I think that the semicolon it's like comma in Spanish. I think how I understand in English it use more semicolon than commas, I think.
Yeah, in most of the cases, you can analyze like that actually, Mariana, and that's correct. We use commas in English only when you have list of items. Remember the rules, right? List of items, extra information, and other very, very punctual details. But yes, even more than semicolon, I will tell you, the most things here, you're going to use semicolon, but period. You use a lot of periods in English, and don't be afraid of using periods. If you say, for example, I like you, period. We should go to the store, period. That's correct in English. In Spanish, it sounds like too, I don't know, too strict. It sounds like, why a period, right? It's not one big idea. In English, it's okay. Don't be afraid of using periods and semicolons, Mariana. Anytime that you see subject, verb, complement, don't think, all right? Don't think and say, okay, I cannot use comma. If I want to use comma, I need a fanboy, right? And, but, or, so. If I don't want to use a fanboy, then semicolon or period. And again, don't be afraid of using a lot of periods in English because that's what you use when you have complete ideas. And that's it. If you follow those details, Mariana, I'm sure that you're going to improve a lot for the next one. But it's only refer to that, Mariana. I don't know if you have something else to perhaps comment or ask me.
No, teacher, thank you.
Great. Again, if you have extra
That's
doubts,
everything.
great. If you have extra doubts, Mariana, just write me. You can write to the group. If you finish checking all the comments that I wrote on your essay, I'm going to delete the one that is punctuation with the capital I, all right? Then I think it was my mistake. I don't know what happened. I'm going to delete that one. If with that one, your score is going to go up a little bit, I'm going to do it, all right? I'm going to delete that one. But check the other mistakes and try to analyze them. And if you have any other doubts or extra questions, let me know via WhatsApp or tomorrow in class.
Okay, teacher, thank you very much.
Perfect. You're welcome. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. Hello, good evening, Luciana. How are you? Sorry for making you wait.
Hello, teacher. No problem.
Is everything okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Luciana, let's do something first. I'm checking everything with you and your partners. I think yesterday we read your example very, very fast. So today I want to do that, please. I'm sharing my screen and we're going to check first your two examples once again, very, very briefly, and then we're going to see your essay. I want to be sure that you were able to see the comments on your essay and so on. But first, these two examples. Was this correction clear? Luciana, let me know, because you had a comma over here, right? Despite that. And why do we have that? You have to take this into account, Luciana. This is one complete idea. Even though they were, right, the biggest band in the world for 5 years from 2010, right, till 2015, the second complete idea. They took an indefinite break. So this is the very first big idea. When you have a big idea like this, you cannot use another comma. Why? Because the next one is going to be another complete idea, and this is a mistake that in English is called like the run-off commas, all right? A run-off sentence. What does it mean? That you are connecting too many complete ideas with only commas, and that is a mistake in English. Sometimes things like Google Docs, they don't correct these mistakes. But what you have to do is to think here, Luciana. A period, that it will be very good. And of course, for this to be correct with period, you have to delete this and set the capital letter, right? Now it's perfect. Or the second option, if you believe that the ideas are kind of connected, then don't use a period and instead use semicolon. And of course, if you use semicolon, you change this to lowercase letter again, and then it's correct. Okay, because this is the second complete idea. And it says, despite that fact, this thing that you mentioned, that is a complete idea, right? Sorry, and also this, I didn't get the chance. Instead of this word, use the members, right? Right, the members of One Direction, also this is going to be with capital letter. The members of One Direction have a successful career. Like instead also here, when you say like, it means that it's similar, all right? Like means similar. But can you replace the word similar here? No. So if you want to translate your idea and like is not the same as similar, don't use like and use instead as. As is going to be talk about professions. For example, I can say I work as a teacher. I don't say I work like a teacher, right? If I say I work like a teacher, it means that I'm not a teacher, but I'm working similar, right? In a similar way that a teacher is working. That is like a teacher. But if I say I work as a teacher, it means that the work that I do, the job that I do, is part of what a teacher does. All right. So here it will be as solo artist because it's part of the profession that they have. That's something extra that I wanted to add. I don't know if you have any question related to that, Luciana. Let me know, please. Luciana, one more time, please. I was not able to hear. I only heard the last part, but it was
Teacher?
very... Yes. Can you hear me, Luciana?
So, but I understand. Correction. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. And the second part, I think is correct. I don't know if you have any questions related to these two sentences, Luciana. Let me know.
No, no, teacher. It's okay. I understand.
Very good. Again, the sentences are great, are very, very good. But in order not to have mistakes for the next essay, right, just take that into account. Now,
And
this,
teacher, I have
yes.
a question. I was wondering. I don't understand well the part of sending the homework with the words, the 9 words, and I was wondering if I could do it again, maybe for I don't know, because I have 51 in note in that part, and I was not able
Okay.
to do it well because right yesterday I was able to understand all the things that I can use and how I can only put the definition in English.
Mhm. Okay. Let me ask, please, Luciana, why? Because you and one more of your partners, yes, there were two people, yes, who didn't work with that very well, and you lost lots of points over there, of course. Of course, that's not going to affect a lot the overall, but it's important. I know that it's important. I will do the same. So please let me ask management. Let me ask Melissa, right, related to this, and management in general, Luciana. If she tells me that I can accept one more time, I have to accept this not only for you, but I have to tell the other student as well. That's why I need to ask management, Luciana, because it should be for you and for that other student who also had problems with the vocabulary. You were taught two in total. So let me ask, all right?
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Perfect. And related to this, I don't know if you were able to see these comments that I'm showing you, Luciana, the comments for specific mistakes in your essay. Were you able to see all of these?
Sorry, teacher, what? I
Uh,
don't hear you very well.
Sorry. Yes, were you able to see all these corrections that you see in my screen? This is your work, right? Were you able to see
Yes,
all these details?
I was. Yes, I was able to see every detail. I'm not sure if I can finish the three last. So maybe we can check.
Okay, yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Yes, the main thing that I want here, right? The main thing that I want here, Luciana, is that you can take all of this into account. If you take all of these corrections into account for the essay on Monday, Luciana, I think your essay is going to be very good, but just take them into account. Remember that we're not going to use capital letter after this colon, that you have to use a comma after an introductory phrase, and all the details that I mentioned here are going to be important so that your second essay is better. All right, just that, Luciana. Do you have any questions or comments related to this specific correction?
That. No, teacher, everything's fine. I was able to understand every correction. I'm gonna
Okay,
practice with that for myself.
very good. Again, it's not very bad. You have a good score, all right? You have a good score. Just practice with that one, all right? And in case you're getting this information, for example, from articles and so on, be careful when you use the information because sometimes in articles, as I was mentioning here, they don't use academic writing. They use writing for articles and writing for media. And that's sometimes a little bit different, all right? That's going to be sometimes a little bit different. And they are not always very formal even on CNN, even on BBC, when you check all the details, they don't apply all the rules because they use a language that is easier to communicate and that doesn't follow all the formal structures sometimes. All right, let's just take that into account. Now, the other person is not here yet, I think, Whitney. So I want you to read just this to practice, please, Luciana. With you, did we work this article about Castropiniano and the village that is selling $1 houses? What do you say, Luciana? Are you there? I think,
Sorry, teacher, my connection is really bad and I'm reading my
okay,
phone. I don't know if I have to
yes,
read
I'm going
this.
to do something. I'm going to stop that. I'm copying and pasting, but did we read something of this part of this article, Luciana? Do you remember reading about Italy and cheap houses?
Uh, I think that yes, but in the other
Okay,
articles.
okay. Let's try to complement what you've learned, and you're going to tell me what you get. I think it's the same information, but I just want you to tell me what you understand by the I'm sending right now in the chat, Luciana, by the information that you have in the chat. Let's read what you have there, please, Luciana.
Es que no, sorry, teacher, I can see any.
The chat, it's in the chat. Perhaps if you open the chat, because I'm not sharing my screen.
Yes, now I
Okay,
see.
very good. Let's try to read that one, please, Luciana, just to finish the, well, today's activity.
Okay, sorry. In fact, instead of going through the authorities, Scapillary wants interest parties to mail him direct. I welcome anyone who would like to purchase a new home here to mail me directly. Nicola Scapilla, atme.com, with a detailed plan of how they intend to restyle and what they would like to do with their property. Make it a home, B&B, a store, or artisan
Good.
shop.
Now let me give you a context so that you can tell me something about this, Luciana. The context very quickly, very quickly. They are selling houses at €1, but they are not selling houses to anybody. They want to sell houses to the perfect person for that house. That's why this person is asking the interested parts, it means the buyers, to email him and to tell him what they are going to do with the house that is very cheap, €1, to understand their purpose, all right, their intention, and to see if it's going to be okay to sell them that property, or perhaps the house is not for them. What can you tell me about that? And what can you tell me about the information that you read?
I think that the houses are in a really cheap price, but gonna own that houses.
All right, one more time, please, Luciana, just to finish this. One more time, the final part. I wasn't able to hear. You said the houses are very cheap. Yes, right? Remember, €1 houses, but only for the people who are right for the house, for the perfect buyers. What do you think about that?
I think that they are very careful with the people who are gonna buy the house.
Hello, good evening, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good, Jose Luis. Good night. How are you?
That's great. Everything is fine, Melissa. Thanks for asking. I think that I solved my problem now. I was able to have a conversation with all right, your partners. I don't know if you can hear me well now, Melissa. Let me know, please.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. That's great. So let's begin. We're going to do some things first. Actually, let me see. I was checking the examples in case I was not able to finish checking yesterday. I think with you, we checked your last two examples, right, Melissa? The ones with the spite, although we checked them those, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I think we can go to the next part. Again, I'm going to check the last essays, please, Melissa. Give me some days. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to give you details. What I'm going to do is two things. I'm going to check that in detail, and I'm going to add comments to all the perhaps mistakes or corrections that I have to make, or simply suggestions. And I'm going to type with, let's say, spelling, right? One, so that you know that that's the first mistake with spelling, if you have some punctuation one, if that's the first mistake with punctuation, and I explain after that, let's say, comment, what happened, right? I'm going to tell you two complete ideas. We should use, I don't know, semicolon or period instead or something like that. That's the way I'm going to be checking your essay, Melissa, and I'm also going to see how you work with the vocabulary and so on. But please give me at least today, tomorrow, I'm going to have it ready so that you have all those details to work for your essay. All right?
Okay, no problem. Instead, I thank you very much for giving me some extra time to finish my essay. These past few days were really busy, and I just ended writing it last night.
All right. Don't worry. Yes, I get it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to let you know when it's done so that you can perhaps improve those days. All right? Great.
Okay.
Let me now share my screen. I think we're going to work with something that we already worked with you. I don't know if you remember this, Melissa. This is about the village, and I want to know, perhaps I'm mistaken, Castropignano, the Italian village that was selling houses at €1, or $1.20. Do you remember reading about this?
No, I only read about the Harvard essays in the first call. I couldn't attend to the second one, and maybe that's where this article was first showed up.
Okay, good, very good. Yes, I was asking also because I remember that once I worked this, even in previous course, Luciana mentioned, it was Luciana, yes, I think it was Luciana that we covered this with her. Perhaps I worked with some of you before, but I'm checking this again because most of you didn't see this article. I think you are included, and it's really interesting. It has a lot of interesting vocabulary and expressions as well. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to read the title, and you tell me what you believe about this. It says, Castropignano, right, the latest Italian village to sell $1 houses. What do you think about that? And what do you believe when you hear that information? Do you believe that this is real? Do you believe that there's something behind it? There's like a tricky thing over there. What do you think when you read this?
I think there's something behind of it. I just today I was watching a TikTok about these Italian projects that sell houses or gives money to people who move to towns where not many young people or are kind of, I don't know how to say, but the amount of people living there is not very high, and I think there's something behind of it. Maybe the houses are in €1 or $1.20, but maybe there's a rule behind that. For example, the time that you have to live there, or maybe you have to open a business in the village or something like that.
Okay, good, good. Those are great guesses because perhaps some of them are going to be verified in a few seconds. But yes, right, there might be something here. Now, this is the village, all right? This is Castropeñano. You have some pictures. Of course, it's a very, very old, very antique village, but it's not bad, right? I mean, some people would love to live here. Look, this is the village. You have other pictures, very old houses. You have the sign. This is being sold, right? You have other perspectives of the village. And here you're going to see something interesting, this. So this village was once part of a castle, all right, a medieval castle. So it's also very, very, very antique. And you have many of other shots of this village. But let's go now straight to the point. Let's see what's happening with this village and what's the information that we get from this article. Let's begin by reading that part, please, Melissa.
Okay, you wait a while for a house that's practically given away to you, and then three come along at once. Yes, Italy's €1 homes are back, and this time, what's up for grabs? It's a collection of houses in the southern region of Molise. Castropignano, a village topped by ruined medieval castle, 140 miles southeast of Rome, is the la- uh, latest community to offer up its abandoned buildings to newcomers. It follows in the steps of Selemi in Sicily and Santo Stefano di Cesano in Abruzzo, both of which have launched initiatives to encourage newcomers in the last month.
All right, very good. Now, again, no mistakes, always good with you working these things. We're just going to work with details related to these three words. Let's read those three words once again, please, Melissa.
Southern, uh,
All right, the other one?
the abandoned
Okay,
and
okay.
launch.
All right, all right. I think this one was way better this time, all right, abandoned. So I think we don't have problems with that one. In this one also, it's not bad, but this is more going to be like southern, right?
Okay.
Like southern. Good. This one, the first time you set the emphasis or the stress in the last part, like abandon it, right? Abandon it. But no, it's not going to be abandoned. It's going to be more like abandoned. All right, abandoned. So the stress has to be in this first part. And this last part is going to be like the tail of the word, like abandoned. Just that at the end. And this one, when you read it, I think one more time, try to read this one, please, Melissa.
Launched.
Oh, good. Yes, yes. Now I was able to hear. Perhaps I was not hearing very well, but yes, that's at the end because the first time I only heard like launch, right? But that T at the end, it changes many, many things. So yes, good. Just that in terms of a pronunciation, that's going to be it. Now, first, I want you to tell me what do you get from this part of the article, Melissa?
I could read about that. This is not the first time that Italy has done this or selling houses with a really cheap price, and they already did it in Sicily, Abruzzo, and this is a project or a strategy to have newcomers in deserted areas or towns with a really low. I don't know how to say it. I don't know if the word is right. Like, I don't know if it's population or I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, you can say that are not that populated. You could talk about populated, right? If it's populated or not populated, you can say it's underpopulated or overpopulated.
Okay.
All right. Okay, okay, yes, I agree with you. This is not new. Castropiniano is doing something that they already worked right on with Sicily and Abruzzo. And this is something that, of course, it's related to newcomers, right? They want new people to come to the town, right, to live there. But what is the thing that is happening over here? Before going to the next part and understand those details, because the next part is going to clarify many things, I want you to ask if you have any question related to vocabulary first.
Yes. At the end, I was guessing if the last word that you marked with a square, it would be launch or lounge. I don't know if it would be correct with the last one, but I was guessing that maybe you mark it or put it in the square was because it was with launch, like not launched would be that
Okay,
or
yeah, in this case, actually, when you see that, I'm going to pronounce that as Spanish, the AU, most of the time English applies the French rule, all right? In French, what happens in French when you have AU? That's automatically O, all right? For example, automatic, we don't say automatic, right? We say automatic. We don't say author, we say author, right? So AU is going to become O most of the time. All right. So in this case, launched is going to be the best way of pronouncing this. Launched or automatic, those kind of pronunciation are understandable, are accepted in many regions, but it's not like the most natural way of pronouncing those words.
okay,
Okay,
got it.
good. Any other perhaps words in terms of vocabulary, the meaning of some words?
Maybe the Italian ones like cesanio or salami. I don't know where this stressed
Oh,
part
yes.
is.
Yes, actually, we're not evaluating this, but it's going to be only Salemi in Sicily, right? And Santo Stefano di Cesania, right, in Abruzzo. It's
Okay,
very similar to Spanish, right? Salemi, Cesanio. That's it. And this is going to be like, remember, how do you say pizza? Like T? So it's like a D, right? Abruzzo, like
okay.
Abruzzo. All right, but that's going to be it. Good. Now I have a couple of questions, but they're very short. I know that perhaps you know this, you told me, but I want to perhaps try to tell me what do you think this word means? First, let's try to understand this one. I think that you know. What is to give away something?
Like make a gift or yes, to make a gift or to only give something to someone else that at the beginning belongs to you and uh, now it's theirs.
Okay,
And the second one, I actually don't know. Maybe for me, it's like that. It's something that is there for you to have, to grab,
good,
or
good,
to
great.
take.
Great, great. Both are correct. Yes. In the first one, more of the idea than a gift, I would only say that it's something for free, right? Something that is given away, it's something that is being given for free, right? So that's why they say it's practically free. It means that it's not entirely free because you have to pay €1, but of course, €1 is practically free, right? So no payment required when something is being given away. It can be as a gift, it can be part of a contest, right? But it means no price, right? For free. And this, yes, you're right. Actually, you can say, in other words, what you can get, right? So Italy's right €1 homes are back. And this time, what you can get, right? What you can grab, well, what is that? A collection of houses, right? In southern region of Molise. And that's it. Good. What you can get, what you can grab. And that's it. Let's go to the next part if there are no more questions to finish this. And it's going to be these last paragraphs, please, Melissa. And it's from this part. Let's read
Okay.
that, please.
However, unlike most of the schemes, we which auction of dilapidated buildings from €1 uh, or $1.20, Catropiano is doing things differently. There are roughly 100 abandoned buildings here, but rather than sell to the highest bidder, Major Nicolas Pilati wants to match interested parties with the right house for them. The scheme works a bit differently, he says. I'm moving along two parallel paths, reaching out both to potential buyers and old owners at the same time. Step by step, to make demand meet supply. I don't want to. I don't want my town invaded by a property stampede or to turn into the latest housing speculation deal.
Great, great. I think I have no observations in terms of pronunciation. Everything was very good. If you perhaps have a small doubt related to something, let me know. But if not, if it's not in terms of pronunciation, if it's in terms of vocabulary, not yet. But tell me, what were you able to get from this part of the article?
Um, I could get that this is not the same way that uh, other towns in Italy has have been doing this type of stuff. Uh, for example, the mayor doesn't want to. The history repeats with Castropignano as other towns, and they want the people find houses that are the right match or the right house for them, and try to meet the same amount of demand and supplies. And they have been putting his attention in potential buyers, but also old owners, to not leave anyone out.
Okay, good, good. This is very good. Yes, yes. We're going to go to details, but the overall of this information is great. Uh, One question over here, what was the previous way of working? What, for example, Salemi and Santo Stefano di Sesanio, what did those villages, all right, do to work with cheap houses? What was that thing that they did that Castropiniano is not doing?
Mm, I think they would sell houses to the highest bidder or
Good.
maybe the best offer.
Great. Good. Correct. They were working with auctions, right? And in auction, of course, the highest bidder is going to be the one that is going to keep the house, right? So it starts with €1, but actually it's not going to be €1, right? €1, 2, 5, 100, 1,000, perhaps €10,000. Okay, it's yours. There you go. So yes, auctioning was the way of working with previous villages. But this village, as you were mentioning very well, is going to work differently because actually the major or the person in charge of this town or doing this is going to contact both, right? Potential buyers and old owners to make the perfect deal. The idea here is to make the perfect deal. We're talking about demand and supply, but in other words, we're not going to read that today. But if we go a little bit down, we're going to see that they want to see exactly what the new buyer or the possible owner, new owner of that house is going to do with that house. Is it only going to be a house, a B&B, a store, a shop, right, and so on and so forth. But I think that's the main idea, and we have it. To finish this, I want to know if you have questions related to vocabulary or some words. Let me know, please.
Mm, I think parallel. Uh, it would be correct to say stampede.
Yes, stampede. A property stampede. Yeah.
Uh, and then my last question would be, what's the exact meaning of housing speculation? It would be mm, like I don't know the word in English, but like uh, immobiliaries or uh,
Mm,
property speculation deals. What would be that?
yes. Yes, correct. This is when you talk about latest housing speculation deal, it's talking about informal selling of property, right? Informal selling of property. It means that the major, right, of this village wants to avoid this. Why? If you work with auction, right, you're going to get anybody living here. And they're going to buy the house, let's say, with €100 or €1,000, and that person is going to buy the house again It's going to rebuy it, to sell it, to resell it. So it's going to become this a speculation deal. Everybody's going to start, right, selling and buying the house once and over again, and this is going to become like a market, right, in selling property, in selling houses. And they want to avoid that by doing this. They don't want any buyer to buy any house. They want to have the best buyer, right, to have the best house for him. It depends on the purpose and the intention that that buyer has related to that house. But yes, it's related to that informal selling of property. All right, good. What else? Any other questions or comments to finish this? Melissa, let me know, please.
Yes, what's the definition of a scheme? Mm, for me, it's like a synonym to a strategy or something like that, but I don't know what the exact meaning.
All right, yes, it means it's referred to many things. Strategy is involved in a scheme, strategy, organization, elements that are used or right or applied in a certain action. So a scheme involves all the things that you need to make something work. All right. So for example, the scheme for doing this selling in Sicily and in Abruzzo, all right, the scheme was working with auction. And what does auction implies? When you want to work with auctioning, right, you need a certain kind of elements, you need a certain kind of organization, you need a certain kind of strategy to make that work, right? So a scheme is going to involve all the elements, everything you need to make something work in a very specific way. In this way, for example, the scheme for this new way of working is having personal, right, perhaps conversations or interviews with potential buyers, getting in contact with all old owners. So it's a set of steps, elements, strategies, and everything you need, again, to make something work. That's more or less the, let's say, the general definition of what a scheme is going to be. All right?
Okay, got it.
Good. Very good. And I don't know, anything else? Let me know, Melissa.
No, I think that's it.
Great. So let's finish here. I'm going to just in case, simply this. It would be interesting because we read this in two conversations. I already finished the second part with your partners, but I want you please to take this a look to finish checking this article because it's interesting. You have some interesting information over there. Try to check it. We're going to try to have a conversation related to what you were able to read in the second part, and we're going to read a different article in the next conversation, okay?
Okay, got it.
Very good. Let's finish then here, Melissa. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow in class.
Okay, teacher, see you tomorrow. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.